So we're going to go through our journeys into Jiu-Jitsu and also our journeys to black belt, from white to black. So we've both recently just graduated and moved up further. Well, we've both got black belts.
Just been promoted to black. When was it? A couple months ago now?
Yep. Yuki Nakai.
Yeah, it's a bit surreal.
Yeah, a bit awesome.
Yeah. So, Andy Kerr, how did you go from 0 to hero, which is just like white belt? How did you get your white belt? How did you go from traditional martial arts, sort of slash doing a little bit of this and that, to, oh, this grappling stuff works, maybe I should go into a BJJ academy?
Okay, so I started when I was about 20. I started doing some sort of form of martial arts when I was about 23. I started off with another gym locally in Bournemouth, doing some Muay Thai, doing a little bit of submission grappling stuff, but it wasn't really, people knew some things, but there wasn't really any experts in it. And over a course of time, I was also working security, doing door work, and testing some of these things out, which then led me to realise I probably needed to go the route of Jiu-Jitsu. So I found a local black belt and started with his academy, and that's kind of how I started off and ended up as a white belt first of all. Pete?
Nice. I started martial arts much earlier. When I was sort of about 6 or 7 in primary school, I started with judo. Started with that. Moved through to taekwondo at about sort of 15, 16.
Standard, yeah.
Yeah, standard sort of traditional martial arts, sort of trying to find out what works and what not. Then, yeah, sort of just mucking around with mates, that kind of thing, just sort of even arranging like fights in local places and stuff like that, just to sort of see what works. Like just basically fucking hard sparring. Yeah, once in a church, rented out a church.
You had a fight in a church?
I had a fight in a church, yeah, just hard sparring in a church. And then sort of realised, yeah, there's something to this grappling thing. And one of the local schools in Exeter, and they just started up sort of a small BJJ program with an affiliate from America. So yeah, that's sort of how I graduated from there.
Sweet. So that's how you became. That was your journey to becoming a white belt. Yeah. Because there's always, people have this story of what they're doing and then how they ended up doing jiu-jitsu. 9 times out of 10, they've never just gone, do you know what, I fancy doing that. Well, more in our age group. Nowadays, it is people just
it's more out there, isn't it? It's much more out there.
Way more out there.
People see much more like sort of UFC and things like that.
Yeah.
So people have something they can go straight to, oh, what's the ground element of that? When we started, I think, I sound old now,
yeah,
it wasn't super popular.
But you still had people going, oh no, this martial art's better.
Yeah.
That martial art's better. Oh no, that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu thing, that's just a sport.
Yeah.
That's a sport martial art, it's not that. And I used to have to deal with that quite a lot. People being like, why are you doing that? Why don't you come and do JKD? I'm like, no. It has its application if you want to be a striker, but not really. So yeah, a lot of that happened as well.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to go from white belt to blue belt?
Oh gosh, I don't even know off the top of my head. I think one of the things, because I started in judo, I had quite a significant advantage with the grappling as it started.
Yeah, you would.
So I was just armbarring the shit out of people when I was starting off. So even going to sort of some of the local MMA gyms and things like that, where people were like hard nuts and stuff, I was armbarring the shit out of a lot of people quite early on. Okay. In terms of chokes though, not quite as clued up maybe. So I was getting myself choked and stuff, so I was like, oh shit, there's probably a little more to this than what's going on. I trained at a few local clubs in Exeter. I didn't like the vibe at some of them, maybe a bit too meat heavy maybe, and I kind of found my way to Exeter Martial Arts. I started there from white to blue. In terms of like how long it actually took, I'd say maybe 2 years.
2 years?
2 years, I think, because it's sort of the inconsistency. We had to get the coach over, and also I had to do all of the Hickson Gracie basics, because he was affiliated with Hickson. Okay. So I had to do all the very traditional like self-defense type stuff, like bear hug from front, bear hug from back, suplex defense, you know, 1-arm grab, 2-arm grab, these kind of things.
Okay.
So I had a very traditional early BJJ, sort of that proto self-defense stage, which it went through, rather than like sport BJJ, where you just put in the time and the effort and sort of you just get your blue. Mine was much more, no, you must hit the targets of all that self-defense type stuff as well.
Okay.
So that's kind of my journey from sort of white to blue. It took about 2-ish years. Yeah.
Okay, so my journey of going from white belt to blue belt was similar in the sense of it was about 2.5 years, I think. And that was with Alex D'Souza. And that was more of a case of time served and the fact that I did well in some tournaments. I, you know, was always getting silver. Never ever got gold. Just always got silvers. But anyway,
Dreaded silver.
yeah, the dreaded runner-up medal.
Because like my tournament history is terrible.
Yeah. So yeah, just via competing and stuff like that, that got me to my blue belt, and that was kind of it. Back then, it was more the higher grades would be like, yeah, he's giving me a good fight now, and that kind of, rather than necessarily like, you know, you can demonstrate this skill. It was just more, can you have a good fight, and you know, you super scrambly and all that sort of stuff. So that was kind of not the set requirement, but it was just sort of like as and when your higher grades and the black belt, if you had a black belt at that point to train with, decided you were of that level. So
That's interesting.
yeah,
So different, isn't it?
yeah, very different.
Yeah,
very structured for you and a lot less structured for me. So you then
mine was more like traditional martial arts grading almost.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So mine
Yeah,
nowhere
yeah.
near that.
Yeah.
So how about purple belt? How long did it take you to go from blue to purple?
So around blue belt level, I moved up to Bath, and I started training Gracie Barra Bath up there.
That was for uni, wasn't it?
Post university, actually. Sorry, part of my blue belt as well. It's part of the journey from blue to purple. At university, I was in Plymouth and I trained with Tom Barlow. So I trained with him for about sort of probably about a year and a half. So sort of because I did most of my degree in Exeter, then I went down to Plymouth for a bit and trained with Tom Barlow as a blue belt. One of the resounding memories from blue belt I just can't get out of my head. It was always stuck with a shin slide pass, and it was like when knee shield became popular, people stopped using traditional half guard, and then the shin shield came in, and I was just like, so I just completely fucked that up. Didn't know what to do with that. So that was my main problem at blue belt, was getting past shin shield. And I know that sounds utterly ridiculous now, because probably a lot of blue belts.
I think I had a little. I think I had a dose of that problem for a bit, and then in the end, I just asked Dyson.
Yeah.
I was like, "How do I get past this?" And Dyson was like, "Yeah, you do this,
Smash through it.
do this," and yeah. So from there,
yeah. So I got some good training with Tom. Tom's world champion now. Yeah, brilliant instructor. So I trained with him for a bit down in Plymouth, and then after university, I moved up to Bath and trained with Gracie Barra Bath. Brilliant academy, to be honest. Lots of really good sparring partners, a lot of gaming partners, lots of different ages. And again, I think it's more that sort of thing which you had with D'Souza, sort of hard sparring, that kind of thing, where I actually started getting introduced.
Yeah, it was more competitive.
Yeah, getting introduced to sort of more hard sparring, understanding about conditioning a little bit more, understanding that, you know, if you want to compete, you've got to actually put a few little extra bits in.
Your top game needs to be good if you're going to compete, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the rule I have as well.
Yeah. I remember going up there and again getting my ass kicked a little bit with chokes early on at blue belt, sort of like, because I'm good with the arm locks, wrist locks, these kinds of things, but again kind of just leaving my neck a little bit open up at that early stage of blue. Basically just sort of hard training up there, then got purple. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, got through Salvatore Paci.
So how long did it take you to go from blue to purple?
Again, it's going to be quite a while, so I reckon
4
that's...
years?
I'd say 3.
3?
Maybe say how much are we on to?
Okay.
3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
So for me, very different scenario that happened is Jeff Lawson set up Ippon Gym, and I'd already been training for mixed martial arts with Jeff, and Jeff got his black belt from Alex. So I pretty much spent most of my time training with Jeff after I got my blue. Well, probably about a year year and a half, I was still training with Alex reasonably regularly, but it just made more sense to keep training at Ippon Gym, so I did. And I think I spent the whole period of my time from blue to purple was about 4 years. 4 and a bit years, maybe? Because I was way more focused on mixed martial arts, to be fair. I wasn't doing it. I did compete a bit at blue belt. I think I competed at Bristol and did some, I think I medalled there and did some other bits and pieces. But most of it, by that point, I was doing a lot more no-gi and a lot more mixed martial arts. So yeah, it took a long time for me to get from blue to purple. And then Jeff graded me from blue to purple. So that was kind of my journey from blue to purple was not very exciting.
I think that's kind of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more about graft and time.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like literally what my story is going to be from purple. I'm just thinking like purple to brown.
Brown,
for me.
yeah.
It's just, again, it's just kind of that graft thing. It maybe looking a little bit broader with the horizons and stuff. Sort of, I competed internationally a little bit. I went over to France and stuff, and some other places just to sort of just
change up a bit,
broaden horizons a little bit. And my academy did encourage like competing, not just local tournaments, sort of actually putting yourself out
Get
there.
out there.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to go from that purple to brown? Anything like sort of keynote about that?
Again, about a year and a half to 2 years. Pretty
much the same for me, 2 years.
Yeah. Instead of just like what I was actually doing, I think in terms of sort of conceptually what happened at purple belt is for me it was very much about an intricate understanding of guard, because jiu-jitsu and gi, my school was relatively gi heavy. We only had a couple of no-gi, like as you saying, you were going more down no-gi route, more down MMA route.
Yeah.
My school was sort of more of a traditional Gracie Barra school.
So yeah, you're going to get that
a lot more gi emphasis. So that for me, during my purple belt, I think that learned into quite a lot of guard development. So things like spider guard, Della Riva, reverse Della Riva, these sort of things only really start popping up in sort of mid to late purple belt. So those sort of like advanced guards and stuff, and refining those advanced guards only really sort of was that sort of gateway towards brown. I think, for me, instead of just
purple belt was a really weird point in jiu-jitsu for me, because I think I was a purple belt for 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe 2.5 years.
Yeah.
But I was so focused on mixed martial arts at that point, and fighting, and it was kind of, I'd gone down that road, and so I kind of, jiu-jitsu was, particularly gi jiu-jitsu, was something I did once a week.
Just for extra training?
Extra training, and some of the better grapplers, or the better jiu-jitsu guys were wearing gis at the time. And I have that argument still with some of my students now, because who just want to do no-gi, and I'm having to tell them,
a lot of the good grapplers,
the really good guys who you need to be exposed to are in this. They're not. They might do no-gi if they've got time to do it, but it's not really their thing. Yeah. So, yeah, I kind of didn't really learn much between purple
not
and
too
brown.
Much skill development, but just sort of like that was more like gi jiu-jitsu for you was just ticking over.
Yeah, it was just like I progressed because obviously I got better and I improved, and Jeff Lawson moved me on to my brown belt. Yeah. But again, I'm not too sure if that was more of a time served sort of situation.
Okay.
But yeah, when I got to brown belt, things changed quite a bit, because then we started training together. Actually, you moved down here, didn't you?
Yeah.
So brown to black. Yeah. For both of us.
Yeah, I had my little son, so I moved down here to Bournemouth. Under the recommendation of my current teacher up in Bath. Said Jeff's pretty killer, he's been on the Ultimate Fire and stuff. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Came down here, started training with these guys, got monstered by Dyson on my first day, I think. It was second session in, got heel hook to shit by Dyson, I think. Yeah.
Then you ran into Jonas, I think.
Yeah, then I ran into Jonas. I was like, this is even worse for me. I was like, but for me, whenever I get my ass kicked, I actually really love it. It's a weird thing. I think to get your black belt, you've got to actually kind of like getting your ass kicked. You go, oh shit, well that sucked at the time.
Well, it's checking your ego as well, isn't it? It's having your ego checked and being like, okay, and then you've also got to look at your motivations while you're doing it. So it's like, for me, I had to suffer the fact that I'm going to get my ass kicked by some of these guys because this isn't my main focus. This is helping me to do something else. So yeah, that's an incredible sort of check to your ego, and also I suppose in your case because this is your main focus. But again, still, it kind of forces you to really analyse and go, oh, I'm getting this wrong. And at brown belt, I think that's what a lot of people do. They analyse them. You're finally analysing the mistakes you're making and going, right, how do I honestly fix that? Because you made it this long. You've made it. You're 5, 6, 7 years into the game.
By that point, it's about 7 or 8 years. At least 8. Yeah, about 8. And I think one of the glaring highlights from that is probably strength and conditioning, really, because these guys are doing all the skill sets and stuff, but they're also working out as well. By that point, you can your skills start taking over. When you start getting to brown and black, if you want to be competitive, again, that sort of that strength and conditioning element sort of goes, hey, if you're not looking after this, you're going to get smushed, because the skill level is so high. It doesn't really matter if you are slightly more skilled than somebody, they're going to smash you.
If they're stronger and they've got better conditioning than you, you take 2 brown belts of the same weight, 2 purple belts, it doesn't really matter.
And even if
maybe white belt not so much, and blue belt a little bit, but you take a purple or a brown belt, and if they're athletic and fit, they're going to be a problem for an out of shape black belt or brown belt. And that's without thinking. They're probably going to out athlete you. I made that one of my things I did with mixed martial arts. Is I realised I'm quite explosive, and if I just make sure I can maintain my explosiveness throughout an entire fight, I can out athlete someone. So I just did that. And that kind of skill wise, there's not so much difference when you get to brown and blacks, but what is conserving energy and strength and conditioning really seems to be that biggest difference. First of all,
in terms, well, they say traditionally that sort of brown, you probably, it's like kind of the waiting.
You've got your game.
You've got your game. It's kind of the waiting room for black anyway, unless you get a horrendous injury, which sometimes happens. Puts people off. And it's kind of like you've got all the skills there, and but traditionally, I think it was more like you got your black when you're ready to teach, kind of thing as well. And I think that was one of the things. Is like I've taught since late blue belt, to be honest. I taught kids classes, slightly more adult classes going through purple, and brown again, much more adult classes. So I think weirdly, going from brown to black, developing my teaching skill set as well was something which came on. You've obviously taught a lot of MMA as well. So I think that's another little thing, which sort of just another skill set, which just actually branches off. You can always get that white belt instructor, and you're always kind of like there, like, oh, come on, like just develop your skill set first.
I think we have instructors in both of our we have students that are white belt. We've both got 1 or 2 of them names won't be mentioned, but
but it happens. It happens.
So how long were you brown belt for? 2 years?
Years.
So I think I was a brown belt for 1.5 years. And
that's about average.
So I knew when we both got our black belts, I knew you were going to get yours. I was somewhat shocked at mine. And
you
also
were a little
petrified.
But I was thinking like...
So how did it feel to actually get that eventually?
It was weird. Yeah, it still kind of makes me tingle a little bit. It's weird. It is weird.
You kind of don't really believe it's happened, do you?
Yeah, it is a weird one. But at the end of the day, it's kind of inevitable once you get past that point. It's like when, as I said, when you get to brown, it's kind of inevitable. But when it happens, and in sort of the manner that it happened as well, we had this absolute legend come over from Japan and
give us both our black belts.
It
was kind of sick.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, it was. Really, really cool. It was. Yeah. I had the world's worst sunburn, so. I know, I was petrified when
we do
got
a whipping
called out.
ceremony here. Just
Yeah.
to clarify, we do.
Yeah.
But I've never done a whipping ceremony.
You've never been
before.
whipped.
First and last, and that is.
Yeah, I've been whipped on every single one of my belts.
And on your black belt, you've been out sunbathing.
And there was a lot of people here. Probably plus of 40 people, so yeah, I was...
Ben Dyson, Jonas Sutherland.
Yeah, not
Gearing
fun. Not fun. I'll probably say the biggest thing I've noticed about when you get to when you actually get it,
Yeah.
and you have some time to reflect on it, is I ended up thinking back of how many people I've trained with and rolled with and who've been training partners over the years, and I look at it and I'm like, hang on, some of those people were better than me, some of those people weren't, some of those people started at the same point as me, graded quicker, whatever, but not very many of them have stayed the course and gone through, or a lot of them have like dropped out and then got back into it in the past year. Like one of my best friends, Carl, he used to be a real challenge. We used to like really challenge each other, and he's still a blue belt. He trains at another academy, and yeah, it's really funny because he finds it's almost surreal that we both started our jiu-jitsu journey at the same time.
Yeah.
He's had 5-6 years out,
Yeah.
and still a blue belt, and I got to black belt.
Yeah.
So it's just sticking the course and going through it. You will get there, but don't. I see you see that 90% of people do fall off at blue belt.
Yeah.
It really does happen.
Yeah, everybody's journey is different, as we've just discussed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's periods where like if I'd got in at Atos like straight away and just trained up,
You're kind of in the wrong country to do that.
Exactly, but I'm just saying, like if I was there, if you conveniently, but I didn't. I was down in the middle of Devon where training was scarce. You had to sort of kind of find where it is. So yeah, my journey has been elongated. I moved academy later on, a sort of brown belt as well. So I had to sort of come back a bit of a step and rework another 2.5 years at my sort of about 2.5 years of brown belt. So it's one of those things.
Yeah,
and
when you came here, you got
well.
exposed to
strong athletes,
two very good,
good
grapplers,
yeah,
and sort of let you know where you're at.
Yeah, like honestly, that's one of the bitches about
that was the biggest ego.
Is fucking honest.
Yeah. So on that note, we're 23 minutes in, so I'm guessing probably time to wrap this up.
Yeah, man.
And that's both our journeys from white belt and before all the way through to black belt. So yeah, please like and subscribe and follow us. Thanks.